Hello, and welcome to the second webinar in our new Essentials of Fleet Safety webinar series. The Essentials of Fleet Safety is a series of 5 60-minute webinars to give champions the essential elements of running a fleet safety programme. The webinars are based on the 5 pillars of Global Fleet Champions, and today's webinar focuses on the Community Outreach pillar and is sponsored by Arval UK. Global Fleet Champions is a partnership campaign administered by Break the Road Safety charity to prevent deaths, injuries and pollution caused by vehicles driven for work. To learn more about the campaign and what we do, please visit globalfleetchampions.org. At today's webinar, you will learn how to inspire, inform and engage different audiences on road safety issues. In addition, we will discuss how organisations can get involved with simple events and campaigns to engage with your communities. On your screen now, you should be able to see a multiple choice question poll so we can find out your views on this topic. It is anonymous, simply select one answer and press submit, and we will discuss the results at the beginning of the Q&A session, which is your opportunity to ask some of today's presenters any questions you might have. You can put forward your questions at any time during the webinar by using the chat box on the webinar panel. Thank you for your time, and the webinar will now begin.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name's Tracy Fuller. I'm UK Head of CSR for Arval and BNP Paribas. And I'm delighted to be talking on this community outreach webinar today for Global Fleet Champions. So we're really happy to be sponsoring the community outreach programme. It's something that's really important to Arval for a number of different reasons. We've been long-term supporters of brake and road safety. And obviously, being a large leasing company, we have an obligation to educate and help to protect and minimise the risks to the communities that not only our drivers operate within, but also helping our customers and the communities that their drivers support and drive around. So this is a really important webinar and something that we should all really take very seriously as fleet operators. So I'm going to talk a little bit very high level about why this is so important for us and why we have to do everything we can to support safety and sustainability in communities. So one thing that we'll know as fleet operators is the business case for fleet safety. It covers a number of different things, and these are all very good reasons why we should take our responsibility seriously. And I've highlighted I guess the most important one and why we're here today. You know, as fleet operators, we do have a moral and social responsibility to influence for safety and sustainability in our communities, not only because we put fleets of vehicles on the roads, we're driving around using all types of fuel types, and also our brand and our vehicles are travelling around communities through lots of heavy pedestrianised areas and past schools, but also to protect our own people. We have an obligation to do that, and any good employer should take that very seriously. So to be reminded of that business case is super important. The drivers for investing in fleet safety should look at all 4 of these great reasons, not just about investing and saving money as a fleet operator, which is of course super important and ever so timely right now in a tough economic environment. But also we know about the legal compliance and the different legislation that means we should be doing this. But also great for our corporate social responsibility programs to be partnering with somebody like Global Fleet Champions, or any other really great road safety partnership. This is fantastic for your organisation and sends a very strong message about how committed you are as an employer to looking after the environment and the society and to people in general. So I do think that this is worth considering and certainly a great one for discussing high level with board members if you're ever trying to get that buy-in. Now, I want to step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture. And I don't know how many of you right now will be familiar with what you're seeing on screen, but I just want to talk very quickly about the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Now, these have been around for a few years now, and this is really the blueprint for that have been set by world leaders to help make our planet more sustainable for the future and to tackle some of those real global challenges that we face. You can visit the UN Sustainable website and you can delve into these global goals. For me now at Arval and within BNP Paribas, this is part of our CSR narrative. We are committed to supporting the goals and we are aligning all of our activity behind these goals. Now, road safety, where does that fit in these goals? It actually fits in many places. If you invest in road safety and certainly into protecting communities, you're going to be supporting many of these goals. And the first one is good health and well-being, goal number 3. And this is where the actual road safety target sits, which is a global target to halve road deaths by 2020. Now, that's not going to be achieved. Many of these goals are wildly aspirational and hugely inspirational. So we will continue to work towards these goals. But actually, if you invest in road safety and protect communities, you'll also be supporting many other goals, whether it's through quality education and educating communities on how to be safe, sustainable cities and communities, encouraging your fleet drivers to drive safely and sustainably, reducing your CO2 impact. Goals 13, obviously climate action. We have an obligation to reduce our carbon footprint to help save the planet. And also goal 17, which is partnerships. So I do encourage everybody to look at these goals and think about how you can frame the work that you're doing behind these super important worldwide goals. And I just want to show you, so one of the things that we did at Arval was to work with Break to develop a message aligned to these goals. And we push this out to our community partners, to schools, to parents. This is a great way of helping to influence within the community, really taking that global target and getting people to think about the impact and linking that to a sustainable goal. And the same for air pollution. Air pollution is a huge topic right now. It's also going to be a topic for World Environment Day on the 5th of June. Air pollution is the theme. We put vehicles on the roads doing millions of miles. So let's get behind trying to do that safer and more sustainably for the communities that we operate within. One of the things that Arval have been supporting for a long time is the Break Pledge program, which is aimed for fleet drivers, but actually in the long term, it's ultimately about helping to protect communities. So it doesn't matter what size of fleet you are, you could attend a Break Pledge, pick up these important messages, and then ultimately help your drivers to be safer in the communities that they operate in. So this is a great way of also doing that. And please do get on board with a pledge in 2019. They're fantastic. Other ways, and some of our other presenters may talk about these, but looking at how every year you can engage in Road Safety Week and interact with your local communities. These are a number of things that Arval have done over the years, but we always support this week. We always look to bring in community partners to help raise awareness. We did a lot for Bike Smart in 2018. So these are another great opportunity for you and for you to get involved with your communities. And then very lastly, and just before we move on to the next presenter, we do local community road safety initiatives to see how we could support those. So this is an example of one in Wiltshire and Dorset, which is Safe Drive Stay Alive. There are lots of those around the country. Some of you will be familiar with them. And these are really effective roadshows aimed at young drivers, sort of leave 11. As you can see, there are multiple partners in this type of initiative, and corporates can play a part in supporting these roadshows. This is local to us and our head office in Wiltshire. 14,000 school children a year receive benefit of this programme, and we're always working with this community partnership to look to develop the programme, make it more sustainable, and we're doing that again for 2019. So there will be many other ways you can get involved, and actually supporting right now is really critical when government budgets and council budgets are being cut. So this is another example of a great community partnership. So I think that's it for me. I'll hand over to our next presenter. I do hope you enjoy the webinar and get lots from today, and I'll be very happy to take any questions later on, or you can of course contact me at any point. So thanks very much for joining.
I'm Malcolm Maycock, the Managing Director of Licence Bureau. We're a UK company employing approximately 45 people within the UK. We're located in Hemel Hempstead, Hertfordshire, which is situated just north of London, though we have staff based in offices in Scotland and working from home in the northeast of England, northwest, West Midlands and the Thames Valley. Licence Bureau are the UK's #1 provider of driving licence verification services, having completed over 3.5 million checks with DVLA alone. We manage over 650,000 people securely on our systems, keeping them safe and their employers compliant. We were the first licence checking provider to become ISO 27001, 9001, and we also hold 14001 accreditation, which applies to the environment. Our main task is the verification of driving licences using data from the DVLA and also the DVANI, the two UK authorities who store that information when you pass your test. We do, however, encourage our clients to follow our compliance journey, which allows companies to question their workforce so they understand whether their policies and their risk can be identified, new risks dealt with, then through training and compliance. The importance of this journey is to put in a continual compliance process. Our customers are varied in both size and what they do as a business. We have over 2,250 organisations who we support in their compliance management objectives. In that, we manage 23% of the FTSE 100 businesses, again providing support with some of the most complex and high-profile organisations in the UK. I'm here today to talk about corporate social responsibility, better known as CSR. CSR is not going to solve the world's problems. That said, CSR is an excellent way for companies to benefit whilst benefiting society and improving the needs of others. At Licence Bureau, we base our CSR on 6 key pillars and how we benefit external social aspects, employee behaviour and engagement, and support the company's aims and growth. Our first pillar is innovation. Before Licence Bureau started, the business of checking drivers' licences on behalf of companies, the process of business-to-business verification did not exist. The main aim of Licence Bureau's business services is to affect leads to improving road safety culture from a duty of care perspective in the UK. And we know this works and has contributed to the saving of lives by bringing systems and awareness to the business arena, which we believe is key. This alone, we could argue, could be the ultimate corporate social responsibility. Our next pillar is cost savings. We work with companies not only to understand who drives what, when, but to gain a better understanding of why. Encouraging CSR through road safety, we know that this will encourage safer, slower driving, which in turn means less energy being used and obviously fuel reduction as well. Companies will then scrutinise reasons for travel, which again will further result in financial savings and in fact greater productivity for their staff. At Licence Bureau, we encourage home working where possible, meaning we have our team situated throughout the UK and can target new customers accordingly. We encourage webinars, the use of public transport, and seek always to employ local people who can walk to work, the most sustainable way of travel. The next pillar is brand differentiation. For many companies, this is a primary reason that companies embrace CSR, as it gives them a new voice to channel, to market, and we in part recognise this. Our reason for first contacting Brake was personal. However, we have been able to embrace CSR to our mutual benefit, enhancing understanding all round. Our work with Brake, for instance, over the last decade has included sponsoring the Road Risk Manager of the Year award, supporting Road Safety Week by going into local schools and educating teenagers on the dangers of driving. We've supported the brake safety campaigns such as brake pledges, speed down, save lives, bike smart, vulnerable road users, and bright day events. In fact, our team have even entered into sponsorship and climbed Ben Nevis. Through CSR initiatives and innovation, we initiated a Brake Pro value-added service, which has led to over £100,000 of sponsorship to Brake by offering the first year of Brake Pro membership for free to our customers. In this way, all parties benefited. Moreover, a similar campaign has now been run in conjunction with Specsavers, where we offer corporate eye care to over 300 of our clients by giving away free eye test vouchers to employees. Our first sponsorship in the community was to replace Christmas cards and to spend the money supporting children overseas who were far less privileged than we are. This process allowed us and the team to engage with an identifiable person and for us to update our customers yearly by email of the cause, the progress of the individual we were supporting, and how we were assisting others by simply redirecting funds with a little extra effort. Varied other areas of employee-led support have also given us brand definition in that we now support Rennie Grove Hospice, the British Heart Foundation, Save the Children, Crisis UK, Dementia UK, and Brian Veterans. All these charities are employee-led, and employees have encouraged to raise these issues and to look to support across the team, which we support as best we can. Employee engagement therefore helps formulate our CSR strategy, powers employees to lead it. Pillar 4 is long-term thinking. Commercial enterprise may, if they are honest, say that the only reason they implement CSR is to drive the growth of that company. I suppose in effect it works well for both parties in that we all join together and to push commercial sustainability in tandem with the all-round social aspects, so moving forward and improving society hand in hand. Pillar 5 is customer engagement. What's the point of doing CSR if no one hears about it? Using CSR can help you engage with existing clients and prospects in new ways, especially as the message is nearly always about something good. It can often be an easier way to talk to clients and prospects, and I personally feel this is an underused tool for business-to-business communication. Pillar 6, employee engagement. Our employees are very much engaged in our CSR. In respect to fundraising, also the engagement that we have with schools. Their daily tasks of dealing with companies requires a breadth of knowledge across the issues and solutions we know are out there and the ones that we can provide ourselves. Our aim, as always, is to point out our clients in the right direction for them and to organisations that we think are best in class. This is why our association with Brake, Freight Transport Association, DVLA and Ford are so important to us. Our work in schools has enabled our team to stand up in front of audiences and discuss the importance of road safety. This has enabled them to personally achieve new goals and overcome fears that they may have in such alien environments. To conclude, I feel the reasons we have mentioned are why most companies should enact CSR. In truth, companies often become involved in CSR for different reasons, but I can't really relate that to you, only why we have been involved for the past 10 to 12 years. CSR is more than just a 15 to 20 year fad or trend. Businesses that want to stay relevant to this new generation, who want to help people in need around the world while increasing their own presence, engage with their staff, ultimately improve efficiency, will benefit from embracing CSR. Finally, apart from anything else, it makes you feel proud that you're helping, and in many cases, these are others who for no reason of their own are found to be in far less fortunate situations than yourself. Thank you for listening.
I'm going to talk to you today about the Safety Man road safety truck, which we put on the road late 2017. We put this on the road to try and give all road users an understanding about how to share the road with big trucks. The statistics we have in New Zealand show that about 70% of incidents or crashes on the road involving a truck and another road user caused by the other road user, which tells us that there's a lot of people who don't understand the dynamics of trucks on the road. So we wanted to try and make the road a safer place for people to share with trucks. So we started down this journey and we developed two programs. One is Share the Road with Big Trucks, we take to community events and schools. And the other program is Healthy Truck Driver, which we take to trucking companies, and that's just raising awareness around fatigue, diet, exercise, sleep, mental health, and those types of things. So to date, we've had about just under 20,000 people through the programs. So the Safety Man is fully sponsored by industry in New Zealand. We have a truck that's provided by Penske and a trailer that's provided by Toll. The trailer opens out to about an 80 square metre classroom. The graphics and all are done in such a way that it's engaging, and we also have 4 TVs inside where we run the programs from, and we also have touchscreen tablets that are linked to the internet to a website that we have dedicated for the programs, and this gives people the opportunity to see what it's all about, but also share the learnings. We've had exceptionally good feedback to date. People are telling us that they're retaining the information and learning from it, and it's surprising the things that people just don't know. So we're also finding it's a good way to inspire the next generation into our industry as well. We have, like a lot of countries around the world, we have a massive driver shortage for heavy trucks in New Zealand. We've got an ageing truck driver population. Probably about 25% of the Class 5 truck drivers in New Zealand are over the age of 65 years of age. So basically the baby boomer generation, and they're all starting to depart our industry, and that's going to cause some grief for us if we don't do something about that. So just going through the program here on the screen for you. So this is the Healthy Truck Driver program, and we also offer free health checks on board for blood pressure and diabetes. And it's surprising the number of drivers that haven't been to the doctor in recent years and don't really realise some of the issues they've got. We're certainly able to set the truck and trailer up for different audiences. It's a very versatile unit, and as I said, we use it for careers, and we take it to a lot of events, and that inspires a lot of conversations with the general public as well around the safety issues, and it also gets them interested in our industry as well. Certainly has a presence wherever it goes. It's probably the most photographed truck in New Zealand, and we certainly get a lot of good engagement from our own industry as well. They like to see that we're out there doing something on their behalf. We have really good engagement with the regulators and enforcers in New Zealand, and the police. And in New Zealand we have a dedicated police force for the heavy truck industry, which is called the Commercial Vehicle Safety Team, and fully supportive of what we do. And late last year we also took it to the New Zealand Parliament for a couple of days, and we got as many politicians and members of Parliament through the safety truck as we could, and just raising the issues with them as well, so that they understood that trucks are a necessary part of what we're doing in life.
The Share the Road campaign gives guidance to those who cycle and those who drive heavy vehicles on sharing the road in a manner that's respectful of their individual needs. The campaign goal is making safer roads for heavy vehicle drivers and bicycle users. It's actually funded by the New Zealand Transport Agency. Hello, my name's Richard Barter. I'm the manager of the Share the Road campaign being run here in New Zealand. Thank you, Break, for this opportunity to tell you about what we do. So what's the problem? All over the world, the number of heavy vehicle movements and cycle trips are growing. That means an increased risk of crashes between drivers and riders. So what's the outcome we're seeking today? We hope the risk of the likelihood of your truck running over a cyclist will be reduced as a result of what you learn from this presentation. Over half of the cyclists in New Zealand killed on the road die as a result of a crash with a heavy vehicle. I'm sorry to say the media are not our friends in these situations. One of the main reasons for these terrible statistics is that cyclists are hard to see. The driver of the red truck cannot see the cyclist, and the majority of the cyclists are unaware of this problem. The best way for people who ride bicycles to understand what heavy vehicle drivers can and can't see is to sit in a heavy vehicle. We run a lot of workshops with cyclists allowing this to happen. And the best way for people who drive trucks and buses to understand what it feels like to ride a bike is to get on a bicycle. 3 messages for drivers and 3 for cyclists form the backbone of the Share the Road campaign. You'll see them explained in the following short video.
Auckland's traffic is what it is. You can't get out of it. You don't have a choice. You know, if you want to go somewhere, that's where you've got to go, and you've just got to do it. The biggest thing I've learned is patience. I've seen a lot of big trucks out there do some stupid things, following too close, and it's really intimidating.
It is nerve-wracking as a cyclist to have somebody sitting so close up behind you, because they're in a big metal box that needs a lot more space to stop if they have to hit the brakes. So if they just gave me a few more seconds to actually make a decision, look ahead, judge what's around me, and if there is a bit of a queue building up behind me, I'll find a safe spot to pull over and shelter and let them pass and then hook back in again.
We've just all done a safe ed course through all my drivers, put them all through that. And part of that is anticipating. And that goes with cyclists, other road users, cars and everything like that. You're forever watching. What are they doing? How can I keep going? What can I do here? Your head does not stop. You're looking sideways, backwards, mirrors, constantly. It's better for the truck to hold back than the cyclist. We don't know where the cyclist is going. Sometimes they indicate, sometimes they don't. You pull up to an intersection, they can go anyway. And if I'm driving along and I see a cyclist coming up towards it, I'll hang back. Then I know where he is the whole time.
I don't hug the pavement, I ride that little bit further out. And by being that little bit further out, I don't have to duck and dive around all the stuff that is on the road or parked cars, things like that. When you're driving in your car, you just drive over things. You don't feel the tin can that you drive over or the pine cone that's fallen off the tree. So riding just that little bit further out, giving yourself that little bit of a buffer of space away from all that rubbish means that you don't have so many things that can trip you up. But also riding that little bit further out means that you can actually look ahead. I can keep a smooth straight line, and if I can ride a straight line, I can ride faster. Bonus to everybody, I get there quicker, get myself out of that bigger traffic flow faster, but I'm not holding anybody up either. When those vehicles come past at speed, there's that feel of being sucked in. It's almost like they've created this vortex that's pulling you towards them, and you hanging on for dear life and pedaling and trying to pull in the opposite direction. It makes you feel very vulnerable. It makes you very aware of how little you are and how quickly things could go wrong if things, pull through really fast.
I've tried to tell all my drivers too, we're driving a branded truck. It's got the name of the company all over it, so you're driving a big billboard. So if you start driving bad, people are going to notice about it and can complain about it. It's bad for morale, it's bad for business. Don't do it.
We're all on the road together. We're all road users, and we all have a liability to each other to get home safely. Everyone wants to go home at night. So Let's share the road. Let's be responsible. Let's see what we're doing. Let's let other people know what we're doing. We can all work together.
We only really have control over two things when out on the road: our vehicle, or our bicycle, and the way we respond to the behaviour of other road users. Our roads are not always safe, not always appropriate for certain types of road users, and they're full of those who break the law and use the road in an unsafe manner, and who are rude. But we have no control over these things. Getting upset about them will only increase our stress levels. So what do we do? Where time and a safe cycling environment allows, we take drivers out on bicycles. The drivers learn what safe passing and following feels like, and why cyclists ride where they do. Getting drivers out of their trucks is not always easy. So we have a shortened workshop model run in a yard that can be delivered by in-house trainers, as no on-riding takes place. We also have an in-cab driver assessment tool for driver trainers to ensure drivers respond correctly when encountering cyclists on a road. Following is a short clip out of a video of a virtual reality experience used when logistically we can't get drivers out on bikes. They watch this using a virtual reality headset. I spent a day out in a side-loading waste collection truck operated by Waste Management Limited and driven by Sandeep. As a result of the training he received, he remained completely focused on what he was doing despite the multiple potential hazards around him, and he still cheerfully engaged with those we shared the road with. In a partnership with dairy company Fonterra New Zealand, blind zone workshops are held regularly with school road cycle teams, so the riders understand how to share the road safely with heavy vehicles. I spent a day out in a Fonterra tanker driven by Glyn. He says now if someone does something crazy on the road, his first response is to be curious, not furious. Hey, thanks for your time. I stopped having on-road conflicts with heavy vehicles a couple of years ago. Only one thing changed, and that was my attitude.
Hello, my name's Dave Nichols and I'm Community Engagement Manager at Break the Road Safety charity. I'm going to take a few moments to talk you through collaboration and partnership in community outreach projects that we run as a charity. First of all, I want to give a little bit of context really. So every day, 1.8 billion children make the journey to school and home again. But every day, 500 don't make it. They die in a road crash. That's 2 primary schools of children every single day. Many more children suffer life-changing injuries such as paralysis or head injury or respiratory conditions as a result of air pollution from traffic in our cities. We're nearly at the end now of the Global Decade of Action for Road Safety. There's key global initiatives for children supported by BREAK, which include Save Kids' Lives and the Global Initiative for Child Health and Mobility. These initiatives, backed by many national and international organisations, aim to highlight the cause of child mobility. That's why, it's a great opportunity for organisations to really work with BREAK and others to raise this issue. BREAK works within its own strategies, which adopt a Inspire, Engage, Act model. So our strategies ensure that we follow good procedures when preparing community resources and our websites, inclusive of testing and evaluation. Our vision is a world where all children can enjoy safe and healthy journeys. We want a world of transport that is safe, green, healthy and fair. And we do try to achieve this through some of our aims, which are listed here on the screen. We want to achieve infrastructure for walking and cycling that is segregated away from roads. We want to reduce traffic and air pollution. We want to slow down road traffic. We want to raise awareness of impaired and distracted drivers. And we want to enable children and their carers to embrace and speak up for sustainable mobility. Here are just a few of the organisations that we've worked with over the past couple of years. Could have listed many more that we've worked with on our projects that agree with our aims and our ethos and have worked with us on various projects. Fleet organisations have a fantastic opportunity to collaborate with other stakeholders, and Brake's no different. We have a common interest in creating a safe and healthy mobility and community. It helps demonstrate your, as an organisation, commitment to the cause to both your staff and the wider community. And this can include working with and fundraising for a national charity that's working to promote road safety. Here are just some of the other benefits as well that we've found that organisations tell us they have whilst working with us, as well as those that I've just mentioned. It's part of building that good reputation within your local community, but also on a national and international scale. We also produce resources. We put a lot of effort and research into creating correct content that's best practice. So why not utilise what we have and our existing contacts with schools and make the most of that relationship? We've done a lot of partnering with organisations and at-work drivers over the years, and I'm just going to talk you through a couple of our projects and examples of ways we've done that. Here are just some of the images that we've had from fleets taking in cars and lorries and trucks into the schools to talk about blind spots, through to actual workers running workshops and interactive sessions within the setting. This is also included working with emergency services. So it's not just a kind of organisation and Brake working together, it's also actually building on those relationships that you already have in your local communities where your drivers work and live. So our Beep Beep Day is one of our most long running events that aimed at 2 to 7 year olds. It's an opportunity to engage them with road safety basics through fun activities, but it's also about raising awareness among parents and the wider community about protecting children on roads. We've used free online resources. We've also got low cost action packs, and over the past 3 years more than 1 million children have taken part in this project. It's now in its 15th year, and we have 2 events coming up in July and November, so there's plenty of time for yourself as an organisation to get in touch with Brake and get in touch with the team to run a Beep Beep Day. I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. So we recently worked with Warburton and their Basingstoke distribution centre. So the staff there ran a Beep Beep Day at a local infant school. They purchased one of our bumper packs so that they could use the resources and donate those to the children and run it with 50 children. They used our content to engage children, so we gave them the correct messaging and tools to be able to work with that audience. And they took one of their lorries into the school as well, so they could talk to the children about stopping distances, about blind spots, and also helps them illustrate the difference between vehicles being hard and our bodies being soft, and the dangers and why that can hurt children. The staff find this event really rewarding in terms of actually being able to give something back to the local community. Most of your staff will have children, will be governors at schools, will have links to local schools, and it's a real good opportunity for them to relate and link with schools, and community groups cry out for local businesses and organisations to support them, and this is a real good opportunity. We also worked with McGee, who visited a primary school, and they teamed up with the local police and road safety teams. They engaged more than 200 children, and they talked about the dangers of adult speeding in their community, but they also delivered interactive workshops using, again, Brake resources. It was an opportunity for them to get into the classroom and actually talk to children. It's a good opportunity from the school's point of view of having somebody who isn't a teacher talking to them about a subject matter that is really important to them. The feedback we got from them has been fantastic. McGee actually made us our charity of the year, and they did a range of activities. Actually found the community engagement aspect very rewarding and really useful to engage their staff. And especially those who drive on the roads around those schools, actually gives them that constant reminder of why they need to be safe. We've also worked internationally as well, so we worked with Fundación Mapfre, who provided advice for children and young people. They actually translated some of our resources for an audience in Colombia and worked with young cadets. They translated some of our resources into Turkish as well, and worked with universities around distraction, working with more than 2,500 students. They also ran some large scale displays in other city centres, and they also worked in Honduras. Here are just some of the other countries that we've worked with over the past couple of years as well. So a lot of our messaging is very simple messaging that actually translates very easily in terms of the language and simple English terms that we use. Our Kids Walk is for older age range, going all the way up to age 11. More than 100,000 children took part last year, promoting road safety and also the health and planet-saving benefits of walking. They take part in supervised walks, and we provide free action packs for them to deliver this. We focus on 5 measures to protect children. That's footpaths, cycle paths, safe places to cross, slow traffic and clean traffic. These 5 measures are really simple and translate again globally. Whether you're in a rural school in England or whether you're in an inner city school in an African country, these measures really relate in terms of what children need to be able to get to school safely. So this year we're working with Ocado Foundation. So they are a foundation, and as part of their corporate responsibility they have 4 pillars, and one of those is education as well as the environment. So working with Break really ticks boxes for them. One of their aims is to help their employees and customers make a difference at local level, and they choose projects and charities where our impact will be greatest. And that's why they've decided to work with Break this year, because they feel our project will be able to help them achieve that aim. They will be engaging all staff, including at-work drivers, and we'll be linking up with schools close to the depots and where staff work and live. We have worked very hard over the years to build up a good database and contacts with schools, and this is really useful when we're working with companies, that we can link directly with them. But also we find that actually a lot of at-work drivers will have children or will know local schools where they want to go in, and actually it's something that they're passionate about. We're also working with the Ocado Foundation in Poland and Spain. Last year, we worked with a school in Gambia, and they engaged children with our Kids Walk project. They joined parents and local businesses and police to raise awareness. It was a good opportunity for them again to say to local businesses and drivers what they needed to keep them safe. They printed out and used our resources. So again, it just shows that our resources and work can be easily used wherever in the world. We've got a brand new website that we've just launched as well, so do take a look if any of your employees have children, work with children, or interested in child safety. Simply breakzebras.org. We are developing this further and have lots of tips and family advice on there. So it's a real good platform for you as an employer to show that you care and get your name linked to a great movement that we're currently working on. We're also working with young people, secondary schools. We're predominantly working on a pilot project in the UK, but are going to be rolling this out to other countries as well. So if you are interested, again, take a look and get in touch. And finally, I'd say one of the big areas that I've not really touched about is fundraising. A lot of the companies that we work with also want to fundraise for a charity. You know, they want to highlight that they're working with a charity. So, okay, they can work with the schools and talk about improving road safety and healthy mobility, but they want to actually give back and fundraise for a charity that supports road crash victims and is also promoting better, sustainable and healthy ways to transport around the world. So we have our Wear Your Stripes Day, which is a fun activity for children. We've had bake sales, we have all sorts. So it's a great way to get both children fundraising, but also for the staff as well. It creates empathy for the cause, it helps them feel part of a wider movement, and it's just a real good uplifting way of actually getting your staff to give back to something that they care about, especially if they're out on the roads driving all the time. So thank you very much for listening. Together, you know, we can stop people being hurt on our roads, and we can help stop traffic hurting our planet. And hopefully there's organisations that we will be working with further in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. We've now come to the end of the formal presentations and it's time for our Q&A session. So it's not too late to put forward your questions. Please use the chat box. So firstly, I'd like to say thank you to all of you for engaging in the 2 questions in the 2 polls earlier. The first question was, is your organisation currently implementing or involved with a community outreach programme? And you can see on the screen that the results indicated that 44% said yes and 56% said no. So we are joined today by Malcolm, who you did hear earlier. Hi Malcolm. So the results indicated that 44% said yes and 56% said no. And what are your thoughts on these results?
It helps business so much, you know, as I tried to explain, it really does help you connect with your community, connect with your suppliers and engage with your staff, so that there is no bad part of doing CSR. It just works for you. So I hope that those who are listening who aren't involved in the community outreach programme have picked up some ideas today and are able to take that back into their businesses.
Absolutely. So the second poll was how many of your employees have chosen to engage with your community outreach initiative. So I'm just going to share that on the screen now. So 8% said all, 25% said less than half, and 6 to 7% do not have a community outreach initiative. So I guess, Malcolm, that kind of echoes what you were saying earlier in your last point.
Yeah, absolutely. It is difficult to engage with staff because, you know, like we had with the schools, you're taking them into an area, to be honest, that's of discomfort where no one likes to go. But actually, once you do engage with a few proactive members, and I know with our partnerships with large businesses like Skanska with Road Safety Week, they've actually drawn staff into the area of assisting us in the local schools and teaching the teenagers. And to be honest, they've all loved it, and they've taken that back into their own business and then become road safety champions. So, you know, it's helped very much the individual as well as the business in the long term.
Definitely. And how would you recommend encouraging employees to engage with community outreach projects?
It's picking up from your staff what they are interested in, and that's what we found. So I mentioned a number of other charities which people put forward, which Blind Veterans is a perfect example, where one of the people, one of the staff, their grandfather had received some assistance from that charity, and from us engaging with that individual actually then became very engaged in our break program. So it's engaging with them, and then people like to give. They just don't often know how to do it, and as long as you get that initial engagement with them, they will be totally on board.
Can you give any advice on what should fleet managers look for when they're choosing which stakeholders to collaborate with? How do they start? Do you have any general tips for anyone?
With all the fleets that we go into, whenever you speak to a fleet manager, they will already know those that are wanting to engage, those who, you know, at meetings or whatever will voice concerns or come up with suggestions or come up with risks that they've identified. So they're already playing an active role, and it's just expanding on those individuals that you already know within your business, to be honest. It's just converting them.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Malcolm.
We've just got a couple of questions that we wanted to put to you and just to get your responses on. So the first question that I have for you is, how would you recommend that fleet managers could raise the profile of their community engagement programme?
We've just seen an example of a company who run a lot of trucks, providing a truck for a workshop, enabling cyclists to understand where the blind zones around that truck are. Companies lend us trucks all over the country for this purpose. We can send the resources you require to set up and deliver such a workshop if you consider this is a good idea. Another thing we do is to run blind zone demonstrations. We park up a truck at a community event with the blind zones marked out and invite people to sit in the driver's seat. Again, we can provide the resources to help you do this too. In both cases, the company is seen by the community to be proactive and positive about road safety. The driver can be a great ambassador for your company, answering questions and giving their perspective in a safe and non-threatening environment.
That's great. And what would you say fleet managers should look for when they're choosing who else they can collaborate with on their community activity?
Well, you could choose a community where change is happening or going to happen that involves an increase in the number of heavy vehicle movements. Being proactive and listening to concerns, demonstrating a safety culture, could prevent one of those social media campaigns that are against the change. We helped a company who made a decision to increase production from a quarry they owned. This meant doubling the number of truck movements that were to go through a small town nearby. They were proactive in contacting and working with those who would be affected most, the local school, local cyclists, walkers, and horse riders. Another reason for choosing particular stakeholders might be in areas where there are a lot of complaints about the impacts of heavy vehicle movements. Much better to be proactive, as in the previous example, but these situations are often inherited.
So thank you very much to all of you for attending today's webinar, sponsored by Arval. We hope you enjoyed it and that the webinar has equipped you with useful information that will help you to work towards our common goal, safe and healthy mobility in fleets. To view our upcoming webinars, please visit globalfleetchampions.org. If you would like to discuss the content of today's webinar further, then please join our Global Fleet Champions LinkedIn group, which is a range of fleet industry professionals within that, where you can discuss the content of today's webinar and ask any questions. Thank you very much again to today's presenters, and we'll hopefully see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.